The Vatican, October 1503. Midnight candles flicker against walls painted with saints and angels. Yet tonight, even the frescoes seem to avert their gaze. Rome whispers that the heart of Christendom has become something else entirely. A kingdom ruled not by God, but by a family whose power eclipses kings. And at the center of it all sits Pope Alexander VI. You're standing inside the apostolic palace where gold-leafed ceilings vanish into darkness overhead. The air is thick with incense and fear. Cardinals line the walls in their crimson robes. Robes that look, tonight, more like warnings than symbols of holiness. Some clutch rosaries. Some stare at the floor. All of them know something is coming. Because tonight is the wedding night of Lucrezia Borgia. And in Rome, a Borgia wedding never ends with a blessing. Lucrezia enters the hall like a ghost wrapped in silk. Her face is pale, exhausted, eyes trembling beneath the weight of secrets no chronicler has ever dared write in full. History remembers her as a seductress, a schemer. But the people closest to her saw something far more tragic. A young woman used as a political weapon, traded like a treaty, reshaped again and again by the ambitions of the men who ruled her life. Her new husband, Alfonso d'Este, arrives moments later, prince raised on honor, a man who begged his family not to send him here. But you don't say no to a Borgia, not unless you want to disappear into the Tiber. The feast begins like any other. Music, wine, toasts from trembling men who would rather be anywhere else in the world. Alexander VI sits enthroned in gold, smiling, drunk on both power and wine, and beside him stands his son, Cesare Borgia, 26 years old, the most feared man in Italy, a soldier carved out of ambition and ruthlessness. He watches Alfonso the way a wolf watches a lamb. As the night deepens, the atmosphere grows colder. Guests whisper. Servants cross themselves. Something is wrong. Everyone feels it, but no one speaks. No one dares. Because the Borgias have locked the doors. And what follows becomes one of the most whispered and feared events in Renaissance Europe. Not because of gore. Not because of spectacle. But because of humiliation. Control. A display of power so overwhelming that even cardinals shivered beneath their robes. Witnesses describe an evening designed not to celebrate a marriage, but to break the bride and groom. To show Italy that no noble bloodline, not even the ancient house of Este, could resist Rome's most dangerous family. Alfonso sits frozen as Alexander jokes about Lucrezia's previous husbands. How one vanished, how another met an unfortunate end. Cesare just smiles, as if daring Alfonso to understand the threat buried inside the joke. The message is clear. Your destiny is no longer your own. You belong to us. At the far end of the hall, Lucrezia trembles. She knows this pattern. She knows this family. She knows the way her father uses ceremony as a cage, and her brother uses fear as a weapon. The torment continues for hours. Mockery disguised as tradition. Authority disguised as celebration. Power disguised as God's will. By the time the feast ends, both bride and groom have been pushed to the brink. Mentally, emotionally, spiritually. Under the gaze of men sworn to holiness. And for the rest of their lives, neither of them speaks of this night again. But others do. Reports travel across Europe. Whispers become letters. Letters become accusations. And accusations become the flames that will help ignite the Protestant Reformation. Because for the first time, the world sees the Vatican not as a sanctuary, but as a warning. Alexander VI dies months later. Caesare's empire collapses soon after. But the shadow they cast over Rome lingers for centuries. And Lucrezia Borgia? She spends the rest of her life trying to rebuild herself from the ashes of her family's sins. History judged her harshly, but those who read between the lines know the truth. She wasn't the monster. She was the one trying to survive them. If you want more stories that peel back the polished surface of history and reveal the raw power lurking underneath, stay with us. Because the past isn't just behind us. It shapes us, it warns us, and sometimes it haunts us.